What types of compensation can I get after a car accident?
Hello, I'm Marc Shapiro from the law offices of Marc L. Shapiro, PA. We're answering questions that clients have submitted. So today we're going to answer the question, what types of compensation can I get after a car accident? After a car accident, it's natural to feel overwhelmed and wonder what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. So let's break it down so you know what to expect. So let's start with lost wages. So one thing you're entitled to is to recover any lost wages that you missed as a result of not being able to go to work after an accident. Not only you're entitled to lost wages in the past, but you're also entitled to future lost wages. And so it's important to keep track of that. Many times we can contact your employer and get that information, but you want to keep track of any wages you miss. There's also something called loss of earning capacity, which is different than lost wages. It's if you now have to take a job, let's say you were working construction and now you can't lift heavy things. So you may have to take a desk job and make less money because of that. So that's considered loss of earning capacity, which is another area that you can get compensated for. Next, and what most people think about when they're in an accident is pain and suffering. These are actually two separate things, but most people lump them together as pain and suffering. Pain is mostly, in the legal sense, is physical pain. If I break my leg, there's going to be physical pain associated with that. If I hurt my back or my neck, that's going to cause physical pain. Suffering is the mental anguish. It's the distress, like emotional distress, or the distress because you can't lift your grandchild, or you can't play with your kids, or you can't lift weights or exercise, or the things that you used to do. So that becomes, it's not physical pain, but it's emotional pain. They call that suffering. Besides the lost wages, the economic damages, and the pain and suffering, we also have, of course, the property damage, and that means you're entitled to get compensated for your car or any other property damage. Now, sometimes you don't need an attorney to get property damage, but we're here to help if you need that, but that's also something you're entitled to get compensated for. Another thing that most people overlook is something in the law we call loss of consortium. So loss of consortium is something actually your spouse would bring. Your spouse could actually have a separate claim. Now keep in mind, to get loss of consortium, you have to be married. It can't be a girlfriend. It can't be someone you call your wife. You have to be legally married. Oh, it can be a husband, by the way, also. But it's basically your spouse. But your spouse has a claim for the loss of care, comfort, and society. That's the legal term. That's what they say. But some people say, well, is that sexual relations? And yes, it is that, but it's so much more. It's not just that maybe you can't have sexual relations or can't do it as frequently because of your injury, or maybe there's certain positions you can't do. And I know that gets kind of embarrassing to talk about, but it's much more than that. Let's say a couple used to go to movies together. But now because one spouse has a back injury, let's say, they can't sit for 2 hours in one spot, that can affect the relationship because you can't go to movies. Maybe the spouse has trouble sleeping, so they're awake all night and keeps the other spouse awake. Maybe they can't do some of the household chores they used to do, like mow the lawn or help clean the house, so the other spouse has to take over for that. So it's not just sexual relations, it's things like playing tennis together, going movies together, having to take on more than your fair share of the household chores because your spouse is injured. So that's something that's often overlooked, but can be a very real component in a personal injury case. In closing, there's many things that go into getting you compensated for a personal injury case. So we have loss of earnings, loss of earning capacity, pain, which is physical pain, suffering, which is mental anguish, and then we have loss of consortium, and let's not forget the property damage also. So if you need any help with any of these things, if you've been in an accident, we're here to help. You can call us at 239-500-5000. Consultations for personal injury cases are always free. So we look forward to hearing from you, and hopefully that gives you a better idea of what you can expect compensation-wise after an accident.